Hey, it's Jeff. Today we're going to do more coaching NainwalPhysics, and we're probably going to spend some more time talking about chest tempo, even though last time we looked at it, they were up 199 points on their peak chest tempo standard, and also up 54 points on their peak chest rapid, which makes sense. Like if you're practicing mainly by doing tactics, you're going to be better at tactics than you are at normal chess, but because tactics, works on like such a crucial skill, you will eventually just get better at rapid, even if you're not even playing too much of it, in my opinion. So that's kind of normal, seeing 199 here and 54 again here. And so far, since last time we looked, probably been a couple weeks, he's gotten 13 points higher on the peak chest tempo standard, and we're still hanging around 941 at the peak chest rapid. So I do feel like the rapid should be able to be higher, given that there's a massive breakthrough in the chest tempo ratings, but and it could just be, I don't know, we'll try to figure out why that is today. But my overall thought is, in general, that if you can continue getting better at tactics, eventually you will find it easier to play normal games. And I would say, like, okay, we see highest rating 1299. If they were to get to 2000, like around where my rating is, I would find it hard to believe that they would still be stuck under 1000 on rapid, because there's just a whole new set of skills you have to unlock to be able to visualize that many moves ahead consistently to maintain a higher rating. So it could just be that they need to go up another couple hundred points in chest tempo, and then their rapid will start like improving and getting to 1500. So I don't know. Anyway, so we have these graphs here, the new beta feature on chest tempo. So I could actually look at by the week what's going on. So let's start at June. So there are 51 puzzles done. The week after 104, and then 46. And average time taken 131 seconds, 72, 161. Okay, I do like this, the high, even though it looks like a downtrend here. It was 161 average time taken, which is really good. And it shows that they are taking their time. You see that the accuracy is actually higher in these other 2 weeks, like 56% accuracy, 55% accuracy, and 45% accuracy. That's because they got to that point where they're almost at 1300, and now they're dealing with tougher problems. They're spending more time, but their rating is going down. So that's completely normal. They just have to like consolidate at this level for a while, and eventually when they get a higher accuracy on the level that they're working on, then they'll start going up a little steadily over time. So I don't really see that much wrong if I'm just looking at the average time taken over these 46 puzzles in the past week. But I do know when I look at, let me see, where is it? When I look at some of the recent puzzles, okay, there's some outliers. I don't know if they count this, like this 1 hour towards the whatchamacallit, because that might be part of why it's looking like he's taking more time, but he's actually not. 3 minutes is really good. Even though it's a failed puzzle, that's fine. The 47 seconds, again, we've talked about this every video. Like, ideally, I want you to spend at least 1 minute before moving. If you're not doing that, you're just moving too fast. You're rushing, even if you can get it right, like you did here. Because average time is 2 minutes, and you got it right in 47 seconds. That's great. But you cannot do it consistently, which is why your rating is still lower. And you look down below, you spent 27 seconds, 26 seconds, and got these wrong. Got this 33 second, you got it right, that's cool. But because you're not spending at least 1 minute, you're really just throwing away points here, when if you're gonna get this like right in 47 seconds, you can get it right in 1 minute. You're just spending 13 extra seconds. But if you waited 1 minute on each of these puzzles, there's a greater chance that you would have gotten at least one of these right. And look at this, 8 seconds and you got it wrong. If you spent a minute, which was the average time for this puzzle, you probably would have got this right. So I'm still seeing a lot of rushing, even though you're being rewarded for it in a lot of cases. It's also like 13 seconds getting it wrong. This should never be a thing, and it just is showing that you're not really listening to like what I was recommending. So if we take a look, let's see, either 10 to 15 puzzles at 1 minute each, or 5 puzzles at 3 minutes each. These were my instructions for pretty much all of the weeks. So anytime I see less than 1 minute, I'm just seeing someone that's not really listening to the advice that I'm giving. So it's kind of frustrating. I've talked about this before, but you really need to spend at least 1 minute just to see if you're actually able to get better accuracy. I mean, it's just common sense that if you spend more time, you will get more puzzles right. So it's really just a thing of patience. So a lot of people, they think that they're training hard, and a lot of times they are. And like this person, they've actually improved a lot. Like you saw, one night, like even here, like steadily improvement every week. And then after that long break, we had 199 gain. But there's a lot of people that'll train for a long time and then they get stuck, and maybe they feel stuck, and that's why they wanted to resume lessons again. But but sometimes you already know all the things you actually need to improve, and you just actually have to do it. Because there's not really anything else that I can say that would magically make you gain rating. It's like at some certain point, you just kind of know everything that you need to know to focus on, and it's just up to you to put in the work. And then I guess the role of a coach is really just like a motivator, or just like monitoring your progress and occasionally giving you advice on what to do next. But it's something that I've kind of realized after coaching for a while, that like I guess I don't really enjoy it that much, although it is okay. Like I really, part of why I want to do like the YouTube thing coaching is so that I can say everything I want to say once, and then it's just forever there. People can reference it and stuff like that. But but yeah, so I don't know. Kind of just went on a rant, but overall, it's like we might have this rant every week. The more I see like this, where it's under a minute and you get it wrong, that's like we're not really gonna make any progress. So if you really want to get better, try to spend more time. Like all of these are under a minute. Even it's 59, okay, that's like whatever, but still, you can wait until you see 1 minute on the clock and then move. And that would actually help out on a lot of these that you get like wrong. So okay, so that's like 7 minutes of that. Now let's get into actually taking a look at some of these mistakes. And what is pretty cool about this is that, at least on this page, you can see the wrong moves that were made for any user. Hopefully they keep that when they make an official thing. I know in the past, it's usually like this, where even though I'm a paying member, I can't see a wrong moves on this page, but I can on the other page. So the only problem is it kind of spoils what's going on in the other puzzles. So by next time, I might look into a way where I can hide your move and then just load the puzzle directly and then talk about them. Because like if I were to do this now, if I just load this puzzle, there's also somewhere on the puzzle that has a solution. I actually have to click here to actually get to the part where I'm solving it without seeing the solution. So I might look into making those improvements for the next time. But anyway, it looks like, wait, you spent 3 minutes on this and got it wrong. Average time was 3 minutes, and it was a 1400 rated puzzle, so this one is pretty difficult. Now, first thing, I guess I should really try to talk more about the thought process while solving tactics and reinforce that. Like that might be the best use of these repeated types of videos where we go over similar types of content. Because again, I don't think teaching any type of positional thing or anything is that relevant right now for this rating at for Chess.com Rapid. Like once you get to around 1500, I think it'll make more sense to work more on the opening repertoire and more specifics of how to deal with strategy in chess. But for now, it's just hanging pieces everywhere, you and your opponent. So given that we're in this position, they just move their rook to d2. First things you want to look for are the forcing moves, which are checks, captures, and threats. So if you want to pause the video, figure out what are the checks, captures, and threats, and maybe even try to solve the puzzle, like try to think of the full solution before you would move the piece, you can do that now and think. Okay, now for the first part of that, checks, captures, and threats, there's this check and no other checks. There's this capture and no other captures. Wait, there's another check, there's this check. So, and I don't see any other captures. So these are the 3 forcing moves. So the solution is probably going to be one of these. Now a threat is the last forcing move, where you would make a move that would threaten something else. So you see like moving a rook here would threaten the bishop because the bishop's undefended. Similarly, moving this rook here would threaten the bishop. And moving this queen here would threaten the bishop. It also checks the king. Now this is actually going to be like the answer, because it's a double attack. You're attacking the king, they have to move the king, and then they're going to lose his bishop, which is undefended. So threats are going to be the most hardest to see, but in this case, you didn't have to think about the threats. You just had to notice the checks, see that, oh, you're attacking this, and then, oh, you're also attacking this, and it's undefended. So you should just go here. Let's go there. They move out the way, and now we take the bishop. Okay, now let's look at the most common mistakes. Most common mistakes is 1 queen g5. Now, it's tough to say how I want to do this. Like, I can either look at your move or look at the most common moves, because then other people watching the video, maybe they most likely made these moves, but I kind of went over. Next time I'll look at like your moves in particular, but the whole point was there was just this double attack here. Queen g4, queen g5 doesn't work. They would just trade, and then again, what are you doing? You're just giving up material. And even if they move the king out the way, what are you doing? There's no checkmate. You're gonna take the queen, and then they take back. You're just trading pieces. So even if you don't know what to do, if there's a thing that just completely just trades pieces and you don't see any follow-up, you should probably keep thinking. But in this case, you actually thought for 3 minutes, so I'm not really gonna fault you there. So that was actually like a really good effort for thinking for 3 minutes, even if you got it wrong. So that's fine. But like we said, forcing moves, it was either this, or this. Now, taking the rook was just terrible. You could probably see multiple ways that doesn't work. This just leads into even material. This one, king moves out the way. You have an undefended piece you can take. So you just quickly get those 3 moves in your head, and then you're drawn to this one. Okay, let's take a look at this one, which you spent 27 seconds on. Alright, so first thing we notice are that a lot of things are hanging. I noticed that this is being attacked, but I'm also attacking this. This could also probably take. This knight's defending, so there's a whole lot of things that are just being attacked and defended. So let's start again with checks, captures, and threats. I don't see any checks. So pause the video, think about the captures and threats, and see if you can visualize the entire solution before I continue. Alright, so let's see. Now, I haven't solved it yet, so I'm thinking about it for the first time right now. I know we said there are no checks in a position for us, so let's see what captures look promising. So my candidate moves are either taking this or taking this, or maybe with the queen. Could maybe do that. So that is another check. Another capture. So the captures are this, and this. Now, the first move that kind of comes to mind might be just to take the queen. But if you do that, then they take your queen with check, and you have to move out the way. And then they get another move, and then you're doing something. So this is like the other position where, remember, where queen g5 was wrong because the queen would just take and it would be a trade. That's the same type of vibe when you take the queen here, and then you let them take the queen with check. You kind of give away your initiative entirely, so it's not going to be taking the queen, which a lot of people, they're going to see like, oh, free queen, let's take it. No. In fact, if this pawn wasn't here, you'd still take the queen and fall into back rank checkmate. So if we take with the rook here, this still doesn't look that great because the knight's guarding. So take knights guarding. Now you just traded rooks. So before we just traded queens, now we're just trading rooks. Like, what's the follow-up? Can we win this knight? No, because if we try to take, they'll take. So even that doesn't really look that great. And that's why it took me a while to find like the last last capture. And the good thing about this move is that we take a rook. If they take our queen, we take their queen. And now we're up a rook and a queen for a queen. So this seems like it's gonna be the most promising continuation. Which again, this is tough to see, so I can see that you got this wrong. The problem is you spent 27 seconds on it though. Like if you thought more, you would have gotten more out of it because you would have realized the complexity of, oh, you just take this? No, it doesn't work because they would take that. And you would still be thinking for something else. Like just trying to take the queen because it's free and spending not a lot of time on it doesn't really let you appreciate how deep this tactic actually is. So, and that's actually what's gonna actually improve your chess is if you really think about, is this working, calculating the right moves, and then even if you get it wrong, then when you understand a solution, you're much better at calculating in the future. But if you just think like, okay, let's just take this, and you don't really see what else to do, and you move too quickly, then you're not really giving yourself the opportunity to learn, pretty much. So again, it's taking this, and if they take, we take this, and we're up material. Okay, and they don't really show, but you would go here, and like that. They go here, you could take with anything. Okay, so most common mistake is rook takes d4. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people did escape this at least. Then now the next most common mistake is rook takes b4 though. A lot of people did this, and yeah, I just didn't like it because of this. I don't really see the follow-up. So at that point, you're just taking a guess because you don't know what else to do. Okay. So this next one, 26 seconds, so 1 second less. Let's see what's going on. Alright, first things I just noticed about the position, and before, usually you could do this in like 2 ways, well 3 ways. It's usually a good idea to just count up the material when starting these standard puzzles, because sometimes if you're down material it means you actually have to checkmate them. But the other thing is just looking for the checks, captures, and threats right off the bat for both sides, because if you see like they're threatening checkmate in one, then you know you have to also do something serious. But also it can be helpful just to get a general sense of what's going on in the position without necessarily calculating anything. Like, what do you observe? But I guess the checks, captures, and threats thing is kind of what I'm observing anyway. So I'll give you a second to pause the video and think about the checks, captures, and threats and what you would do in this position. Try to visualize the entire solution. Okay. Alright, so first thing I see, their knight is attacking our rook. That's bad. Next thing I see, there's a pawn that's free. Probably don't want to do that because they would just take that. Okay, so that's pretty much all I got right now. Let's take a look at the checks. There are no checks. Let's take a look at the captures. There's this, 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 and that's it. Now out of these, we already know we don't want to go rook b2 because we just lose the thing. We also don't want to go rook takes a4 because we also lose this, or even they would just take here maybe. So also there's this capture I forgot about, but I don't think that works either because again I think they would just take. Although then we could take that, but I don't. It seems wrong in general. So okay. This is the only other thing that is a capture and moves out of the way of the knight. So this is something we might consider. But if we're just winning a pawn, that usually doesn't do anything. So, and they wouldn't just, well, they could just trade and trade, but then we're just like getting a pawn. I don't even know. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually not even really winning a pawn because we were already down a pawn. So it's like more that actually has to be done in this position. Because again, I'm just saying, like, if they go here, they could also just move out the way, and then there's no tactic. You have to see a follow-up. And so far, I can honestly say I have not solved this puzzle yet. if I had to suspect, I think it could be something to do with some type of queen trap, because usually when I don't see anything, you want to just look for a queen trap. And this queen is pretty cut off. Like, there's a lot of things that are around it, like these rooks are cutting off all of these squares. And the queen is cutting off all of these squares. This one is like their only safe square, so it could be something like this. So yeah, when you really don't see anything else, look for a queen trap. Now, we're gonna assume, I'm pretty sure, well, I don't know what mode you have it on, but there could either be only one move solutions, or they might have that where you have an alternate and you can make something else. But we're gonna try to see, is there a one and only solution? Because I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this, and I feel like they're both not trapping the queen. So if you move here, the queen can go to this square. If you go here, the queen cannot go to these squares, and they're still cut off here and here and here. Like, I think going here, the queen is just trapped. So it doesn't matter if they take anymore. Again, this is why threats are the hardest to see, because, okay, there's no checks. Okay, where are these captures? This, and this. But they all don't really do anything. So you actually have to look at the threats. And so this is a move that clearly threatens the queen, it's protected by the rook, and the queen cannot go anywhere. So they do take, like we thought, but we could just take this. They take that, now we just take back. Okay. 56 mistakes. People did not know what to do. So they just took on d4. Most people took on d4 with the d rook. So this one, which is the better one to take with because it's attacked by the knight, but it's like, no, you gotta realize that this is just like the other puzzles where you're just trading pieces, or they just move out the way and you're not gaining anything. And you're not even winning a pawn because you were down a pawn to start. Alright, so let's take a look at this one. 8 seconds. What happened here? You thought it was so obvious. Let's see. I have no idea what you could have thought. I see this, and this, and this, and this, and this is checkmate. But what did you see? Maybe it was a mouse slip. Actually, we can actually look and see what you thought. But here is just take, and then you get that. This is actually an easy one. Let's see, this was 5, 4, 9, some stuff. 5, 4, 9. This, okay, you did rook d1. Let's see. Did your fellow people, yeah, okay, rook d1 is the most common move here. I guess the idea is to try to take on the next move. There's like a million problems with it though. One, they could take. Well, no, they can't take because of that. That's probably what you saw. The other problem is you go here and they just take with that rook. But yeah, it's just, and rook d1 is not it's a forcing move. It's a threat because you're threatening checkmate. Which again, like usually you want to look at threats last. Like I'm always starting with the checks and the captures. Those are the most forcing. And then threats if the checks and captures don't work out. And as we saw before, finding all the checks should be instant. And if it's not instant for you, it's the thing that you work on. You get better at practice. But in this case, checks are the first thing I'm looking for. And the first thing I saw was, okay, I take this, they take, this is guarded, and then this looks like a back rank mate. So it's like, it is an 8-second problem, actually 2 seconds, but, or 25 seconds here. But in general, it can be done if you see like the best pattern. But you ended up playing this, which was a threat, not really realizing that you can force things by taking with check. It's checks all the way. Like it's a check, and checkmate. You want to prioritize checks for sure. And then if you're convinced that they don't work, then you look for the captures. If you're convinced the captures don't work, then you look for the threats. And you just go from there. And a lot of times though, you kind of just look for all of them at once. But but for your purposes, I would say just first look at all the checks and see if any of those are actually it, and like go in that order. Okay, 40-second puzzle. Let's take a look. Okay, pause the video, guys, and think about the checks, captures, and threats and what you would do. Okay, so again, there's not a lot of puzzles with checks. I would say under 1,000 there are mostly checkmates, but these seem to not really be that. In fact, now, because we had that other queen mate thing, I'm looking at this saying, like, are we just trapping the queen? Because this looks like a thing where, okay, there are no checks, clearly. Are there even any captures? I don't think so. We do not have a capture in this position. So the only thing we can do is create a threat. Now, are we going to threaten this knight? No, because we have knights. We don't have a pawn that could kick it or anything. This this rook is protected. So there's nothing we could really attack. There's this pawn that's protected by the knight. We wouldn't try to win a pawn anyway. So the only thing we could probably try to do is attack this queen, which is actually boxed in by its own pieces. So if you actually look at their last move, that can often give you a hint of the solution for the puzzle. Because what they did was they blocked off an escape square for their queen. So that's another way that you could solve this one. But when we go rook here, then we have to check all of their moves. Like this doesn't work because of that, 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 this doesn't work because of that. And taking this doesn't work because of that. And taking this doesn't work because of that. So it's like checkmate for the queen. Now they play a good move because now if we take there, they take that. But we can take back with the knight and we're fine. Okay, let's see. What were you guys doing? Knight g5. You guys are just playing normal chess. What does this threaten? What's the follow-up? What are you trying to do? You can't do anything. Can't really go here next. They have everything covering. I mean, you have stuff covering too, but then you're just trading. So you gotta look for the threats. So these are two queen traps. Those are tricky. Those used to be tricky for me as well. And what was that one? That was this one. Let's take a look at the another one you rushed. And then we'll move off of chess tempo. I don't know if we're in the video, but we're moving off of chess tempo. I can tell you that much. All right. Pause the video. Checks, captures, and threats. Go. Okay. They're threatening stuff. Wait, can they do that? No. Okay, yeah. They're threatening stuff. We could look into taking the thing. Also, let's just get this out of the way. The only check just gives rid of the queen, so that's not going to be it. We can look into this. The problem is they take that, right? And our question is there a follow-up in that position? If we take on f2, they take on d3, what checks, captures, and threats do we have? And if there are none that are good, then we have to ignore queen takes f2 till the end of time. Now I'm looking, and I do not see anything. We could take on f7, they could take back, and then we're super losing. So it's not going to be that. Now, you know, what is interesting, though, I feel like this is a difficult puzzle. Because, like, I almost don't see it. I would guess rook g3 because it attacks, it threatens checkmate. Because at this point, we're just looking for threats. It threatens checkmate. At the same time, we maintain the threat of taking this rook. The problem with taking the rook immediately was they take this guy. But if you move here, we create this threat, and if they move the pawn, let's say, to defend against mate, then we take. But I feel like if we go here, they have to have something else, right? I guess not, because if they were to check, we could just take. If we go here, they take, we just take. So this is probably it, just threaten checkmate, and if they defend against checkmate, then we take the rook. That's why I feel like this one is kind of difficult, to be honest. I feel like I can still get it wrong. I'm not that confident. Okay, they just take. So we can take, and that's it. 1297. Queen takes f2 was the most common mistake. And let's take a look. What did you do here? What was the puzzle? 77616. 77. Okay, yeah, you took queen takes f2 with the rest of them. Yeah, you don't go here because then they go here. And again, the theme of all of these puzzles so far is there are no checks that make sense. And there's a move that just trades, and everyone's going for the trades. They're not seeing anything else, they're just guessing. Because at this level, to get to this level, you typically just make obvious moves. And now you're at the point where the obvious moves don't work anymore, and you have to figure out why. Because if something is just going to trade, you can't do it. You have to figure out the deeper level of these tactics. Because this is like an obvious move, but they take, and then what are you left with? Nothing. So that means you have to not play this move and find something else. And then you start to realize ideas like this. You're not immediately drawn to this. Like a lot of people probably aren't. Like if you have a grandmaster look at this position, they probably first look at this, notice this, and then immediately reject it and then find this. Some of them will just find this in the first place, but a lot of them will just do this calculation in a split second and say no, go here. So that's kind of what you have to do. You have to learn that kind of thought process, how to reject moves. And we've gone over a lot of it today where if there's something that just seems like it's even and you're not sure, you don't want to guess, you want to think at least a minute, ideally more, ideally 3 to 5 minute things would be good. I actually made a comment on Reddit recently, giving like similar advice, but yeah, that's kind of what you need to do. And now let's take a look at some of your games. Wait, actually, first let's sum up what happened here with these tactics. Notes from the chess tempo tactics, 1300 level. Look for checks, captures, threats in that order for the most part. If a move seems to just end change, don't guess, think at least a minute or two and find something else. Often it can be a threat. If you see nothing, look for a queen trap. And that's pretty much, I don't know if I'm forgetting something, but that's pretty much the gist of what we covered. Now let's look at some games. Okay, there was a 14, we'll look at this 14 move loss, this 28 move loss. We'll look at the 48 move win as well to end it on a high note. Alright, so let's see. Let's get the bad one out of the way. And do I need to go to new game here? Okay, there we go. So what's going on? Play e5. Oh, they're going for like the cheap stuff. Do you have to? I don't know if you have to go here or what. I don't know my theory. This is part of why I don't like playing e5. I feel like you have to know how to defend against this if you're playing e5. So we'll see if you did it right. I'm pretty sure that's not right. Is it right? It looks reasonable. Okay, I don't know what's going on. This is definitely not right. Okay. Yeah, this was just an opening disaster. It was a 14 move thing. Okay, I'm gonna go to Lee Chess and analysis board. Let's see, where is that game? How do I export? Is it this? PGN. Okay, let's go here. And then flip the board. And what database are we using? Okay, we're using the master's database here. Okay, knight c6. Knight f6, it is a move. They go knight g5. d5 is actually the move. That's what I was thinking, like, you probably would have to play. So, this is actually a case where if you want to play like this, you have to know if they go here, you need to play d5. It is like 95% of games with master level players, they play d5. If you look at the engine, actually we need more lines. Where are our lines? 3, 4, or 5 generally. Okay. In this position, d5 is the only move that gives you equality. Everything else loses. So every game you play me against, you ask me what was your mistake after. This is kind of how, like, first you kind of want to look through the game yourself and see if you can figure out what went wrong and what you were thinking about. What's this Wikibooks thing? Okay. But also, you can also look at the opening database and see what's being played more often than not. Now, chess.com has their own opening database. I think it's paywalled though, so the Lichess one is free. And I think it's easier to navigate than the chess.com one, but anyone's free to try them out, try them both out, and decide. So anyway, d5 is the only move, and you play here, which means your opponent just automatically wins. Although they were supposed to take with the bishop, so they actually let you back in the game, but this was such a situation where you had to play d5 that, for me personally, I would just say, okay, you need to learn d5 and then move on to the next game. Now, to do this, you can do this and then take a look at the Carlsen game and figure out how he typically plays, because, okay, they take, what are you going to do? They're attacking your knight. Like, what do you actually do here? Because if you move wrong, they might just move here and then still threaten stuff anyway. What was this? Okay, but the key thing is Carlsen goes, and most people go knight a5 to attack the bishop. And now if they were to go back, maybe you're actually going to get rid of the bishop. A lot of people don't do this, but knight takes b3 would be one of the moves that you could do. So it's an easy way to remember, is that you go here and you get the bishop off this diagonal because you're attacking this, they have to move somewhere else, and then maybe you pick up this pawn. So let's say if they go here, knight takes d5 is another move. In both cases, h6 to kick the knight first and then take it has been suggested. Although we go h6 and they go here, they're attacking this pawn. So it's like you wouldn't take this immediately unless you're taking with the queen. The best move you can see, they say, is e4, so you're kicking the knight again, and then you're taking the pawn. So in this case, like, I would still just say I would take the pawn here and then look into playing that later, but that's not even like the most common thing. So we looked at this, we would just take. We looked at this, we'd probably just take. Their most common move would be this, and then you would have to remember c6. So this is a sharp line, because if you don't play c6, you're also going to quickly run into trouble unless you play bishop d7. So you have to play one of these two moves, which you probably would play one of them. But yeah, this is like a weird situation. And then you castle, and then you play chess. Okay, so that was a case where you actually need to know some opening theory. And again, the point is, when they go here, you cannot allow them to take this however way they do it. So d5 is a typical move in this situation. Actually, you see this, d5, the best way for black to defend. Although they say bishop c5 is a good move too, but it's a risky option. But who's playing bishop c5? There's no masters in this database. There's like 5%. Like, I'm not trusting these 5% of people. I'm trusting, like, the 95% of masters. Okay. Like, the 5%, that's when you're, like, GM level, you're trying to out-prep your opponent by playing an uncommon line or something. Or, I don't know. Let me see, like, black scores 26% with d5 and only 21% with bishop c5. So even the data would suggest, like, it's not even that is played less, but people that play it do worse than playing d5 anyway. Alright, so let's look at the next game. Okay, e5 on the white side here. Okay, and it's generally easier to play because you don't have to worry about being down a tempo. So you trade, we got this even endgame. I guess you're trying to queenside castle, or you're just trying to not castle at all. It doesn't really matter because queens are off the board. Hopefully you don't take that pawn on the e file. Okay, you don't. Oh, that's like a bishop move. I mean, a Fisher move. Let's see. So they take that. They could have just did this and trapped your thing. That's kind of weird that they didn't do that. Like you see, b6 is their best move. They eventually do play it, and now your bishop's trapped. I feel like this is why you lose this game. Yeah, now to kick your knight, and now, okay, well you can fork them. Like, you can fork and get some material back, but they're up 4 pawns, so even if you win the exchange, that's 3 versus 5, they're still up 2. If I did my math right, who knows. So you're just down material. There's nothing you can do. This was all because you took that pawn, but there's this typical maneuver where they just get your bishop. Like, they didn't even have to do all this right now. They could just did this directly and yoink that guy. Okay, so the rest of the game isn't too relevant though. It's possible they let you back in, but again, I'm just a particular person where I look at the first mistake and say, okay, that should have been fixed, and then I just move on to the next game. Because usually, I guess a weakness of mine is once I make that first mistake, my mentality for the rest of the game is just down the drain. So I don't really often recover once I make that first mistake, I guess. Okay, but this is the game you won, so let's take a look at that. The game is white. This is that where I played like this, which is weird. Because I would definitely take, and if they take, I mean check. If they go here, then you get this. It's similar to when I talked about you go here, they go here, you go here, and they go here. You want to give up the knight like this. Because a lot of times they're just going to fall into this. And if they don't, let's say they move the king, we still go here, and they move the king. Now you got this, they're really in trouble. They're going to bring the king out, or they're going to go here, and then you could take, and now you're threatening a discover check. Like, they're just going to lose. Although, no, you actually take with the bishop. Yeah, okay. Computer's right. So yeah, this is just really good. Even though you gave up that knight, you're just in a completely winning position when you play like this. So then playing that early f6 is very bad, but you don't really take advantage of it. You kick the knight. You're still doing well, so it doesn't really matter. I wonder, it doesn't work here, I guess, because now the knight's like guarding that square. Okay, they're attacking stuff, you're defending. Now you're trying to be aggressive. They're attacking. Oh, you got a really good square for the knight there. I wonder bishop b5. The knight here is also fine. I'll just think of that too. Because now you're threatening knight takes c7. Yeah, they're like losing a lot of stuff. I don't know if that was the best. Yeah, it wasn't. I would have probably looked into this. Just taking with the lower piece. Instead, you went for a trade when you could have just won a piece. And also, when you did this, yeah, you're attacking the queen, but then they take your piece. So again, you're trading and they're trading. It's like your mistakes on chess tempo where you're just going for a trade when you need to be looking for something that's a win. So now you're pretty much left back into the game. And now you're actually losing according to the engine because they can take here and fork. They do that. So how do you win this game? Let's see what happens. Actually, turn the engine off. We don't need that. Well, actually, I probably do, but whatever, because I'm tired. Okay, this is a really good example of an outpost square, though. Like, there's no pawns that can kick it, and this one is 6th rank, so this is a really good positional piece right here. One thing to note is all these pawns are on light squares, so this bishop is going to be your worst piece, but that's okay. You make good use of it. You're almost trapping their queen. Okay, they can take. Kind of scary. Like, I don't know what happens after queen g1 and rook g2. There's also like these perpetual ideas they could eventually get if you're not careful. Okay, but you gotta checkmate. Alright, I'm not really gonna deep dive too much into some variations and stuff. Overall, good win. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.